In this video, we're going to look at some of the most iconic modern saxophone players, the players people are searching for today, and take a look at the gear they use. It's important to say this again, the player creates the sound, not the gear. The equipment helps support the sound, but the concept, air, and musical personality always come first. That said, it's still fascinating to see what today's great players choose to use. Let's start with Chris Potter, one of the most respected and widely searched modern jazz saxophonists. Chris Potter is known for an incredibly powerful, nuanced tenor sound and a complete command of the instrument, combining extraordinary technical facility with deep musical expression. For many years, he played a silver-plated Selmer balanced action tenor saxophone, including one that previously belonged to Michael Brecker. In more recent years, he has been most often seen playing a vintage Selmer Mark VI tenor, which has become his primary horn. In terms of mouthpieces, Chris Potter is strongly associated with vintage Otto-Link metal mouthpieces, typically from the 1960s, that have been carefully refaced and opened to suit his sound concept. These very open setups support the breadth, power, and flexibility that define his playing. What truly defines Chris Potter's sound isn't the gear, it's his massive air support, control across the full range of the horn, and his advanced harmonic and rhythmic language. His equipment supports the result, but the sound itself comes from musical vision and mastery rather than hardware. Next up is Joshua Redman, one of the most listened to saxophonists of the last few decades. Early in his career, Redman did play his father Dewey Redman's saxophone, and over time he gravitated toward vintage Selmer horns, most notably the Selmer Super Balanced Action Tenor Saxophone, which has remained central to his setup for many years. Joshua Redman has never presented himself as overly gear-focused in interviews, consistently emphasizing musical ideas over equipment details. That said, he has generally favored traditional jazz-style mouthpieces, most commonly vintage hard rubber, Otto-Link style mouthpieces, typically in a medium opening. For reeds, he has often been associated with Alexander NY style cuts in medium hard strengths though, as with many professionals, this can vary over time. His sound sits comfortably between classic warmth and modern clarity, a strong reminder that phrasing, articulation, and musical intent shape a player's sound far more than equipment alone. Kamasi Washington is one of the most searched modern saxophonists, thanks to his crossover success and huge cinematic sound that bridges jazz, hip-hop, and orchestral music. Kamasi is primarily a tenor saxophonist and is most often associated with vintage Selmer Mark VI tenor saxophones, including the horn originally played by his father. These instruments are central to his sound, offering the depth, projection, and warmth needed for large ensembles and amplified settings. While the Mark VI is his mainstay, Kamasi is also known to experiment with other high-end instruments, including Woodstone Super Custom X prototypes, showing that he remains open to exploring different responses and feels. When it comes to mouthpieces, Kamasi does not publicly commit to one fixed model. Over the years, he has been linked to metal mouthpieces, including older mentions of Berg Larsen pieces, as well as custom mouthpieces from makers like Arnold Montgomery. His setup generally points toward a medium to open jazz mouthpiece, often metal, designed to deliver a dark, broad, and powerful tone. His exact mouthpiece and reed combination appears to vary depending on the musical context. Ultimately, Kamasi Washington is a great example of how a strong sound concept, embouchure, and musical vision matter far more than obsessing over exact gear details. His equipment supports his voice, but it's the intention behind the sound that truly defines it. Next is Melissa Aldana, one of the most important voices in modern jazz tenor saxophone today. Melissa Aldana is a tenor saxophonist known for a rich, expressive sound that blends deep jazz tradition with a highly modern rhythmic and harmonic language. Her playing combines clarity, intensity, and nuance, making her one of the defining saxophone voices of her generation. She plays a vintage Selmer Super Balanced Action (SBA) tenor saxophone, often noted as having belonged to her grandfather, and this horn remains central to her sound. The SBA's flexibility and depth suit her highly dynamic and expressive approach. On mouthpiece, Aldana uses a custom hard rubber mouthpiece designed by Matt Marantz, currently known as the Aldana model, which evolved from his slant legacy design. Like many elite players, her mouthpiece is carefully tailored to her embouchure and sound concept, rather than chosen for trend or brand alone. She pairs this with Boston sax reeds and a rhino ligature, supporting a focused yet powerful projecting tone. While her setup is relatively traditional on paper, her sound is completely individual, a clear reminder that refinement, musical intent, and personal identity matter far more than chasing equipment. Michael Brecker. You can't talk about modern saxophone sounds without Michael Brecker. Brecker defined what a modern tenor sound could be: powerful, focused, flexible, and incredibly precise. For most of his career, Brecker played a Selmer Mark VI tenor saxophone. Early on, he used metal Otto Link and Dukoff mouthpieces, especially during the 1970s. Later in his